Hey now, today I'm making my 1-day sourdough, which is a process that I've used several times on weekends where my schedule is just so crazy busy I don't have time to follow my normal schedule. Now, the first thing to know is that I've already lied to you, just because what I did yesterday was I pulled my sourdough starter out of the refrigerator here, and I fed it just first thing in the morning. You can go off to work, do whatever you got to do. And then at the end of the night, I made my leaven, which is in this delightful bucket here. And I did that right before bed, and then everything else is going to happen today, as opposed to making your sourdough, letting it ferment overnight in the refrigerator and baking the next day. This sort of cuts that down to just that one day. So let's get started. Now, before anything else, here's a hot tip. These white plastic containers, you can get them. They oftentimes come with sour cream or yogurt or things like that, are really, really great for making sourdough. I know they don't look as pretty as maybe glass or even stainless bowls or anything like that with little plastic covers over them. However, when you go to clean them up, once you've got most of the stuff out of there, just let them dry and everything flakes off of that plastic. It's really, really nice. A lot easier to clean than other materials. So I am going to make today's sourdough in those buckets. Now, starting off here, I have my filtered water in this bucket. I have 360 grams. This is a 72% hydration sourdough because I'm going with 500 grams of flour. But right now I just have that filtered water in there. And you can see here, I've got my leaven, and I'm going to be adding that to this water. So I added 125 grams, or in that 25% range here, and I'm going to stir it up. You'll notice that I'm skipping just a standard autolyse. This is again sort of in the spirit of streamlining this entire process. A lot of the times with my regular recipes, it would be the water and the flour, let that rest for a while. This is all getting together here right off the bat. Next, I've got my unbleached all-purpose flour here, and like I said, that was 500 grams, so I'm going to be just tossing that right in. And then on top of that, I'm going to be adding my fine sea salt. That is 9 grams or 1.8% of the baker's percentage based on that 500 grams of flour. And now just using a clean hand, I'm going to mix it all up here for a couple of minutes. And here we go, after a couple of minutes, mixing this up. I actually did that twice. We've got sort of a nice little shaggy dough here. Just going to pop my lids on here and let it sit. So it has been just over an hour. I have done this process with as little as 30 or 45 minutes at this point before I started to mess with it, but I do prefer that hour to an hour and a half range. I'm just moistening my hands here with some filtered water. We're going to get out this dough, and I'm going to just do a little bit of stretch and folds here with it. It is reasonably sticky, and it's got that leaven and everything in it. There we go, just like that. We're going to get that back in and cover it back up. I'll do the second one here in a second, and then we'll do more stretch and folds here shortly. So I gave these breads 30 minutes here. After that last stretch and fold, just going to work my hand around, and again, with my hands moistened with filtered water, I'm just going to go ahead here and do some extra stretching and folding. I'm just going to do that here as well, kind of like a little modified coil fold. Awesome. I'm going to plunk this back into the buckets here and give it some more time. And after another 30 minutes, I'm down to my third and final stretch and fold. So again, just moistening my hands here. This bread is now a little bit easier to work with. Not really needing my bench knife to work with it at all. And perfect, just like this. Okay, back in that container. And in these containers, just going to seal these back up and let them sit here until I'm fully fermented. Now, after 5.5 hours, you can see that the bread is nicely fermented here. Now I'm switching things up and actually just getting my hands floured as opposed to using the filtered water. I'm just very gently kind of moving around to loosen the dough from the sides. I'm going to let it shimmy out. And it's time for a pre-shape. Some big bubbles there. I'm just going to pop those. Now I'm going to let this sit here for a few minutes, just underneath that bucket. I'm going to do the same with the second. And after that couple of minutes, I'm just going to reflour my hands, give a quick final shape here. And then I've got a floured banneton sitting right there. Just a little bit of extra rice flour on that. Tuck it in. A little plastic cap on it, and now I'm actually going to throw this into the fridge while I go ahead and preheat my oven. So I've had my oven and cast iron preheating at 500 degrees here for some time. This has been sitting in the fridge for an hour and a half, chilling down nicely. It's time to get these loaves into the oven. Just going to flip here on the parchment. Just going to do a quick, simple scoring pattern across the top here and get it into the oven. And just like that, going to turn the temperature down to 440 degrees and give them 35 minutes. And 35 minutes later, I'm just going to pop off these lids. Got a nice little oven spring happening there. Woo, beautiful. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat down to 430 and let it keep cooking. And after 22 minutes at that 430 degrees, I'm just going to pop these out of the oven here and let them cool down. Just like so. So having just come out of the oven, it is 21 hours since I started that leaven last night and 10 and a half hours since I started working with that leaven and making that dough this morning. Okay, well, it is time to slice into this. This actually sat overnight. Ooh, listen to that. This sat overnight just because nobody was hungry last night, but we are definitely hungry this morning for some toast. Let's take a little peek here. Oh yeah, beautiful. Let's taste. Do you have our taste testers here? The ones who really matter anyway. What do you think?
Awesome.
Yeah? Ooh.
I like how it's nice and crunchy.
Crunchy. On the inside or the outside?
Outside.
Yeah? How about the inside?
It's nice and soft on the inside.
Ooh, perfect. Sounds like exactly what we want, huh? Yeah?
Uh-huh.
All right, there you have it. So really in just one day of actual real activity, it was able to go right from that leaven through to a finished bread. Super fantastic for kind of a busy schedule, anything like that. And I know the little ones here are really happy with the bread. And even though it seems to kind of break some of the rules of like when you would add things to it, either way it seems to work. It's like the sourdough gods smile upon us. So there you have it. Till next time, keep your sourdough and your schedules at 11.
You can taste the tender.